We are fortunate to be joined now by Republican Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma. Senator, thank you so much for your time tonight. Let's get right to President Trump's self-proclaimed big, beautiful budget bill. Today, Elon Musk issued a blistering criticism. He posted on X, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Senator, your response to that?
Yeah, obviously, he is one American and has an option to be able to give an opinion on it. There are 215 Republican House members that went through this in pretty great detail and sent it over to the Senate. The bill itself is pretty straightforward. It prevents taxes from going up on every American. Right now, taxes are scheduled to go up on every American starting on January the 1st. The first step on that is don't allow taxes to rise on everybody. The second piece of this is how do we deal with national security issues? That is a stronger national defense. How do we secure our border to be able to make sure that we are securing our borders, adding additional protections there for the long-term effort on that? And then how do we reduce spending? It is the largest reduction in federal spending that has actually ever been done. So I'm keenly aware that there are lots of folks that say they want even more reduction of spending or they want to have dramatic changes in other parts of tax policies. But first things first, don't allow taxes to go up, secure our military, secure our border, and let's find ways to be able to reduce our spending in significant ways.
Are there aspects about the bill that concern you?
Well, right now, there are some pieces of the House bill that came over that I'd love to be able to tweak out. The Senate wants to find ways that we can actually extend those out and make it permanent. So that a future change in the tax code is not done by the calendar, but it's done by Congress. So we are trying to be able to work through to say, what can we do in a way that's fiscally responsible to also extend out tax treatments so they don't have an expiration?
Your fellow Republican colleagues in the Senate, Josh Hawley, Lisa Murkowski, Jerry Moran, Susan Collins, have all raised concerns over the impact of Medicaid spending cuts. Early estimates from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office found that more than 10 million people would lose Medicaid coverage if the House bill becomes law. Should there be any cuts to Medicaid?
Yeah, so we needed to find out what that means by people, quote unquote, losing their coverage from Medicaid. The primary piece of this change is we're putting a requirement on able-bodied adults with no children to actually work. That's the same requirement that's there for food stamps, for SNAP benefits, or the temporary assistance for needy families. They have a work requirement. Medicaid does not.
You say that 1 million people illegally crossed the border after your bipartisan border bill failed last year. You, of course, worked for months on that bill. Do you think that the U.S. border would be better off today if your bill had passed?
Well, we'll see long term on this. What President Trump has done has been very remarkable in this. Obviously, several different pieces are caught up in the courts as normal in that process when you're applying the process there.
Yes.
But we're talking a 95 to 99% of illegal crossings in different areas of the border. That is a remarkable shift in what has actually happened just by applying current law, what many of us asked President Biden to do, but he refused to do. So when we brought that bill up now a year and a half ago, it was to get him to apply first current law. In fact, we had some aspects of it to cut off funding until current law was applied. And second was to close loopholes that probably will still be faced by the administration in the days ahead that we'll have to still be able to close and to be able to handle. Long term, we've got to make sure that no matter who is president, whether it's President Trump or whoever's going to be president 5 years from now, we've got to make sure that border remains secure. So to me, law is the way to be able to establish that and to make it very, very clear there should not be gaps in our national security along our border.
You were part of the Mideast delegation just back from Iraq, Lebanon, Israel, and Jordan. What steps do you think the U.S. should be taking to help ensure peace in the region, an end to the Israel-Hamas war, and also an agreement to bring all the hostages home?
Yeah, the most significant thing we can do right now around Israel is to be able to work towards bringing those hostages home and to get Hamas out of the leadership of Gaza. Everybody has their eye on the new Syrian government because it could go any strange direction in the days ahead. These are individuals that were involved with ISIS and with al-Qaeda in the past, but have now said that they have walked away from all that and they want to represent all people in Syria. President Trump has pulled down the sanctions that were on the Assad regime, and they're giving an opportunity for them to be able to do well. Now they've got to actually be able to follow through on that. So everyone's watching that. What's happening in Lebanon right now is remarkable with the new leadership of the new prime minister and the new president there. for the Lebanese armed forces, just obliterating Hamas in their military area, in the southern area, and the Lebanese armed forces actually taking control to be able to protect that country. And of course, our very close relationship with Israel, spend time with Prime Minister Netanyahu and with many of the leadership in his cabinet to be able to talk through what can we do in the days ahead, including continue to be able to reaffirm our friendship with Israel, but also our clear stand against anti-Semitism.
Senator Lankford, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. Good to see you again.